So we go live now.
Okay.
Here we are. Let me go to the
Not too
YouTube
shabby.
page and see if it's there. And then
Which
what
YouTube
I
page
will
is it
do,
again?
it's on FSU Seminoles on 247 Sports. I got it. I'll just text it to you. All right. I text it to you. Let's tweet it out, and then we'll get started here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Big Man, Big Heart. This is the live recording, so we will edit this down and put it up on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Tweeting this out, and then we'll get started. Right. Should be a good show. I'm excited for this one.
I'm also very excited. This is definitely going to be interesting.
All right. How do I get out of here? I want to get back to the comment section. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. I see you guys. I see you. All right. Now we're ready to rock. Who's going to be our next guest?
What's that?
Who's going to be our next guest? Which teammate of yours?
I guess it really depends what the people want. I think it'd be cool to bring Darius Washington on at some point.
Yeah. We got to get Darius on.
Yep.
I think at some point we should get Mackenzie Milton on too.
Oh, yeah. Kenzie would love to get on here.
I think
he would. He's a good guy, man. Tell you what.
I think we'd have fun with that one.
I think so too. But he's very down to earth, good guy. Can't say enough good things about him. He's always trying to look out for the best interest of the guys.
He seems like it. All right, we're gonna get started. Here we go. Eleven. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Big Man, Big Heart with Dillan Gibbons. I am Josh Newberg, and this is episode 11. We are coming to you on a Wednesday evening. We are also live right now on YouTube. What's up to all our YouTube subscribers out there? Hello. I got energy this week, Dillan. Florida State bounced back from a taxing road loss to NC State to beat the rival Hurricanes 31-28 on Saturday night. Dillan Gibbons, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And after hearing that intro to the podcast, I am completely fired up for today, for tonight, and excited to see where this thing goes.
Yeah, I'm trying to match that Mike Norvell energy, but, you can't.
Oh, yeah,
not everybody
tough.
can have that. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, he wakes up like that, too. It's absolutely crazy, but
I know.
He's on a different level.
All right. Well, before we get into it, this is Big Man, Big Heart. So let's get the latest news from your foundation. What's going on, and how was your weekend?
Yeah, so as I mentioned last week, Timothy came to the game, him and his whole family. Again, they had a great experience here in Tallahassee. Stopped by a couple of their new favorite spots. They're the same spots that they stopped by when they were in town for the Notre Dame game. But they had a good experience at the game. Got a little bit chilly towards the end, but the way we won that game definitely warmed up the Donovan family. So after the game, we got to spend a little bit more time with them outside of my parents' tailgate, and got to say our goodbyes because another football season, at least home games, it's in the books.
How about
and
that?
I'm very excited about seeing Timothy here pretty soon. We're thinking about going to Disney World at some point together, and then hopefully I'll be able to see him in the spring at some point, maybe at the spring game.
Awesome. Well, I also believe that you have some other big news when it comes to Big Man, Big Heart.
Yep. So we actually just signed our third ambassador from a different school, University of South Florida. Which is basically the school my family, every single one of my family members, except for me, graduated undergraduate from. So again, his name is Brad Cecil.
Brad Cecil, USF ambassador.
And I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull this up right now. But Brad's the center at USF. Again, a great young man that I've met through social media and a few different friends I have on the USF football team. My brother actually played there back in the day, he had some fun at USF, and it made a lot of good friends
He did
along the way.
transfer back there, didn't he?
Yep. So he transferred back from Stanford to USF, and he was there for a good portion of 3 years, and ended up having a few reconstructive knee surgeries, and that kind of caused him to have to quit football and medically retire. But he made a full circle though. He's an attorney now in St. Pete, so he's had a pretty awesome life experience.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we'll see what he gets going, and I'm sure you have some other announcements that we'll hold off on for now, but I'm sure you have some other announcements, right?
Yeah, some very exciting stuff. It's been some crazy times. Again, very busy times, but it's exactly what I'm asking for. I need more stuff on my plate. I need more to keep me active and keep my mind going.
Very good. Well, let's get into it. What do you say?
Let's do it, man.
All right. I want to start backwards. This is like a Tarantino film. I talked about this on another podcast, but football is a crazy game. And I think it was such a beautiful ending to see all that preparation that went into the game, all the crazy bounces and luck and penalties and everything that happened during that game. It all comes down to who can win a 6-inch piece of grass.
Yep. So if keeping with the Tarantino theme, let's start with chapter 1, winning that battle at the line of scrimmage. You see, when we were faced with just a few inches of grass, and the whole University of Miami defense. And again, it was some exciting times. I mean, when you make a drive like that and pull something like that out of thin air, and find yourself in a position that it's a winning position. It has everyone on their toes, everyone up and standing in the seats, everyone doing the tomahawk chop and screaming. It's a very, very awesome experience, an awesome place to be. So at that point, as you can imagine, everyone saw there was a bunch of timeouts called. I believe there was 2 at that point. And we came off the field after the second timeout, and we knew what we were going to do. We knew we were going to run the same exact play again. And we're going to run it again. Okay,
so hold on. So first down from the 1-inch line, you guys run a QB sneak over center.
Yes, sir.
Is there a timeout after that, or do you guys line it back up and run over just right of center?
I believe there's a timeout in between all 3 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes, sir.
It was so
2 timeouts in total, though. But yeah, when we went to the first timeout, actually, and decided we were going to go with the QB sneak, Coach Dillan basically just brought the offense together, and Coach Norvell was there too, and basically just said, like, point blank, we are going to run the QB sneak until we either make it or break it. We are going to do this until we either stopped or we score a touchdown. So for me, being an offensive lineman, being a pretty gritty guy and being part of a pretty gritty group of guys, we were all very excited to get on that field and take that first snap and hopefully try to get our feet in the end zone. Because as an offensive lineman, the goal in that kind of situation is to basically run your man clear through the end zone. But if you can get your feet in the end zone, then you've made a winning block and given the quarterback or whoever running the ball a chance. So yeah, after that first play and the second play, we got back to the line of scrimmage and basically just ran the same exact play.
But that time they ran it, no offense, but they ran it right up your ass. And Jordan gets in there. I mean, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, I got to get in the end zone on this one. But more specifically, do you know if Miami's going to try to shoot and dive at your legs? Are you trying to kind of push him to the side? Like, what's your mentality? Are you trying to just bull rush him? What's your...
Yeah, so their defensive front basically was called Big Bear, right? It's a Big Bear front, so you have a bunch of large interior defensive linemen stacked up around the center, around the guards. Then they bring up some linebackers into the A and B gaps, just trying to crowd the interior of the offensive line as much as possible. The defensive linemen are going to try to go for your knees. They're going to cut you, and the linebackers are going to try to go over the top. That's generally what it is. So for me, there's an old adage. It's as low as a snake's belly. And in a situation like that, that's what you're trying to do. So I got in my most athletic 4-point stance I possibly could, with my head just before crossing the line of scrimmage. So I was absolutely ready in a very powerful position, low to the ground, to get underneath one of those defensive linemen before they could cut my knees out and render me useless in that play. So what I did is I came off the ball. Number 81 actually spiked into the A gap, and I got my head across, my hands inside, and ran my feet. For a second there, we were almost stalemated until I kind of felt that push, that I was in a good position and I could run my feet. Because again, in a situation like that, their body's flying everywhere, right? You don't want to be caught up off guard, standing straight up because you get your knee blown out. But for me, I was in a good position. I knew I could run my feet, so that's what I did. And I ended up chucking 81 with my right hand about 5 yards into the end zone.
You there? I think we lost Dillan for a second. Hold on, let me see. Back here. Right in the middle of that one too. We'll edit it out for the podcast that goes on iTunes. Don't worry.
I think I lost you there for a second.
I gotcha.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
What I was saying is
We'll
when you're in
edit
a nitty-gritty situation like that, with large 300-pound men on either side of you, and you have a quarterback that is basically just trying to run right behind you, you find yourself doing some odd things. And for me, I was just trying to absolutely move as many people as I could, but B, towards the end of the play, as I kind of rolled over to my side, I was trying to pull Jordan in. And
right, I saw that.
It was again, it's some fun times. You're basically just body surfing over people, which is an experience that many people will probably never be able to do, especially in that kind of atmosphere. I can't thank the fans enough for being so actively participating inside the game. They were loud at times; they needed to be loud, and then they were quiet in times when we were snapping the ball and we needed to be quiet. So again,
They're smart football fans.
Oh yeah, intelligent, and I don't know. Just an experience I'll never forget the rest of my life.
All right, we're going to talk more about it. So that was the game winner. But then it seemed like this is funny because 4th and 14 happened, which will always, those numbers will go down in FSU lore like 20 years from now. Somebody's going to come up to you when you're in Tallahassee and talk about 4th and 14. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So 4th and 14 happens, but it seemed like that 6-inch space of green was even harder to capture than 4th and 14. But take me through that. So 3rd down, it does, you guys obviously don't get the play you wanted because it's 2-down territory and you wanted to get closer to the sticks, but you don't. It's incomplete. Brings up 4th and 14. What was the play call? And walk me, just through the first couple seconds of that play.
Yeah. So for us, we were treating basically anything they were going to throw at us as bear, right? A little bear, a big bear. So again, for the offensive line in a pass protection situation like that, we are going to be setting straight back from the line of scrimmage, creating as much space as we possibly can between us and the defensive linemen, allowing space for movement to happen. Because as you can imagine, 4th and 14, they are going to be in some type of coverage that is going to be trying to encapsulating a lot of our wide receivers and even a running back when he gets out. But they're definitely going to try to bring some type of interior pressure. So we were anticipating movement, line games, Texas eds, tans, knots, things like that. Ended up bringing a 3-down front, and I sat back. I noticed that my center needed some help. I helped my center, and then I turned back and I saw Robert Scott. And Robert Scott was putting in some absolutely amazing effort, just finishing
blocking to save his life. Let me tell you,
blocking his butt off. And again, it was an absolutely incredible experience. And for that play, let's talk about a few individuals. So first, Jordan Travis, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, a lot of people, and even in my experience of being Notre Dame, wrote Jordan Travis off as a wildcat quarterback that can throw the ball when he has to, but is more of a running guy, definitely a threat in the run game. But in my experience so far, that's not who he is, right? He is one of the most extremely dynamic quarterbacks I've ever met in my life. He has the ability to throw balls and all different types of coverage, as noted and as seen over the season.
Or
but
just
also
on the last drive, he threw a couple different, throws.
And he has the incredible ability to run and move his feet. And he's an extremely dangerous player, a player that must be accounted for in every single game we're going to be playing in. Because again, when he's putting more and more of this awesome film up on tape for other teams to see, it makes our offense run a lot smoother because teams can't really anticipate what's going to happen. But again, just a few individuals making incredible plays, but the whole 11 guys, everyone was working together. And for us and what the coaches did in the week prior and the days prior is they put a lot of emphasis on finishing games, right? So for the past, give or take 6 games in the offensive line room, Coach Atkins has been basically playing the film from the game. So we'll come in on Sundays and watch the film, playing it in reverse, right? Judging our effort from the last play of the game all the way back to the first play of the game. Effort and assignment, things of that nature. And what that causes is basically just self-accountability. So as you're watching this film, judging your own effort based on the first play and the last play, like where were you mentally, right? Were you thinking, were you being situationally aware? And if you weren't, it really calls some action upon you. And you see that impact of just such a simple thing as dialing in the moment, understanding the importance of a game, absolutely changed the legacy that is going to be this game. It was absolutely incredible experience. But what I'll say is that it's tough for a team like Florida State. And I was part of Notre Dame. And we won a lot of games. It's tough for a team like Florida State to know what that feels like, right? Because they haven't necessarily been there before, at least in relevant times in the past couple of years.
Roster. I know what you mean.
So in order to get that feeling, you have to win some big games. And what this game provided us was the ability to have that feeling, to be there, to have been there. And I think that's going to propel us some pretty far places here in the next couple games and into next season.
Right. And to get to that feeling, you guys have had a lot of disappointments. Most recently, Clemson. Clemson was a game similar to this where you guys fought and battled and maybe deserved to win, but didn't win. This one felt the same way. You guys maybe deserve to win, but if you don't get that 6-inch piece of grass, you don't win. And you come home just the same L as you did if it was a 50-point loss. But you guys did win, and you overcame what happened in the third quarter, which was you guys were flat. I mean, to start the game the way you did was a complete surprise because we haven't seen the FSU offense really go out and just put up points like that. And then the third quarter happens. You guys bogged down. You let Miami back in the game. The fourth quarter starts. I think there was one play to start the fourth quarter, and it was a touchdown, and then they went to kickoff. And during that commercial break, I tweeted, we're going to learn a lot about this football team and program over the next 14 minutes and 56 seconds. And boy, did we learn a lot. First of all, talk about what was said. And I don't mean when the two teams faced off at the 50, but what was said going from the third quarter to the fourth quarter on the sidelines for you guys? What was said?
So the real communication that we have in those kinds of moments is through Coach Atkins. And again, he actually reminded us about what we were going to be doing Sunday, the day after the game, how we would be watching the game. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. It doesn't matter. All the incredible plays you've made so far. All that matters is this quarter. All that matters is finishing the game strong. And to have that kind of testimony and that kind of, something to look at the same time, something to motivate you. It was absolutely incredible. And that, I think, definitely changed the mindset of the offensive line. Because when you get deep into a game like that and don't have a lot of momentum and the momentum of the game swings in the wrong direction, you can definitely lose hope. And you can start planning for what's going to happen after the game and what's going to happen the next couple of weeks. But just having that kind of mindset about actually finishing the game and being situationally aware and putting incredible effort into those moments that really count definitely changed the whole outcome of the game.
Yeah. And after your conversation with Atkins on the sidelines, Miami pulls a stunt where they start dancing on the logo. It gets your guys' attention on the sideline. Before we know it, both teams are facing off at the 50. I mean, what did you think of that?
I had no clue what was going on. I saw my boys out there, saw some guys running around the field, decided I'd give it a jog. Ended up going out there. I thought maybe it was a tradition, this sort of game. I know there's a lot of hostility between the two teams. And There's a lot of hostility out there on the field. But I really didn't know what was happening. I just figured I'd go and see what was happening. And once I saw, I was like, no, I'm good. I'll go back to the sideline.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, just an odd deal. I was kind of looking forward to what may have transpired, but at the same time, I'm glad that nothing happened.
Yeah, I'm sure you weren't afraid to get in there and mix it up. But I mean, you guys are mixing it up on the field each play. So what's the difference?
There really isn't a difference, and what happens between whistles is totally fine. But I'm just glad nothing broke out, because again, I would have had to go and pull my guys out of there and protect them. But again, it was a kind of an odd situation, and I had no clue what was happening.
Why do you think you guys played so flat in the third?
I really couldn't give you an answer to that. It's a little bit tough, and there's a lot of outside things you can kind of point to and different things that were made, but I definitely think it was an issue between the players and not necessarily being as engaged with the game as we should have been. And it is tough. There are lulls in games, and we have done well in the third quarter in the past, but at the same time, just felt like we were in a little bit of a fog.
All right. And of course, you guys battled back. It was an incredible fourth quarter. What did I learn? Because I tweeted that. I tweeted that, I think we're going to learn a lot about this program. I mean, we learned that you guys have figured out how to win. We learned that these big games, you guys are ready for the moment. There was times when you guys would have crumpled in the third quarter and Miami runs away with that by 3 touchdowns. But we've seen that all season. I mean, there's been many a time when us FSU fans get the old feeling of, oh, here we go again. The blowout's about to commence, and you guys make it either respectable or come all the way back and win. So we've learned that maybe this program has turned the corner. I mean, this was a big win for you guys. Was it the most fun you've ever had on the football field?
Yeah, so before I get to that, what I'll say is one of the most important things to me was just looking at the eyes of the guys on the sideline. And for me, I didn't see any hesitation. I didn't see anybody that was feeling bad for themselves, anybody that was talking about the bar they're going to go to in Tallahassee afterwards yet. People weren't giving up. And I know that big games can maybe cause this and cause us the false sense of security, even though you're down a few points. But I truly believe it is a culture that Mike Norvell is starting to instill here at FSU, a culture that doesn't necessarily rely on these outside influences to motivate you. It's definitely a self-motivation type deal and a self-confidence. Because, again, we have an incredible football team, some very highly talented individuals that are working for each other and sacrificing for each other. So, but with that being said, the most fun part of the game for me, oh, gosh. I mentioned this earlier today. I did a presser after practice, but a lot of the coaches and even before games and our Friday walkthroughs, we always do a victory formation. And when you're running off the field, everyone's like, oh, it's the greatest play in football. Can't wait to do that at the end of the game. That's not the kind of person I am. In a victory formation, I just kind of stand there, right, and protect my gap, make sure no one's trying to run through and do something sneaky. But for me, my favorite play in football happened down there on the goal line, especially the one that we made the touchdown in. But again, just absolutely just trying to get underneath somebody with all the leverage I can possibly muster up, with all the strength I have in my body, and enforce my will upon somebody is definitely one of the best feelings in football, and the best feelings I could possibly ask for.
Because if you're a kid and you're growing up and you're a wide receiver, like you dream of going up and catching the game winner. If you're a quarterback and you're Jordan Travis and you're growing up, like you lived your dream in that game. But if you're Dillan Gibbons and you're an offensive lineman, like this was a dream game for you at your position, the game ending the way it does, right? In your gap, right? Yeah. Like I didn't really think about that. Kids grow up dreaming of this, but this was your dream.
Well, what I'll say is it was a dream of everybody on that field, right? Is getting into a situation and the dream of Alex Atkins, right? So, but right before we went back in the field, before we scored the touchdown, Coach Atkins pulled us aside, right? He said, the game's on you guys, right? Mm-hmm. You can either do it or you can't, right? It's up to you. The momentum, the trajectory, the score, everything's up to you. So from that point, we pulled ourselves out of the huddle, just the offensive line, just the 5 guys. made our own little huddle, like Facing the Giants or something like that, one of those kids movies. And I told everyone I love them and we need to go do it. And I reminded them of what Coach Atkins had to say the week prior and on the bench in the third quarter of how we were going to be watching this film again this Sunday. But we're also going to watch it for the rest of our lives. And to make that outcome and make yourself proud. And I believe that everyone on that field made themselves incredibly proud and definitely brought some pride and unity here at Florida State. Pride that's going to last for a long time. And it's crazy to think about how historic this game is. And I remember when I was a kid, just like we were talking last week, watching this game, and to be able to have an impact the way their offensive line did this week was absolutely incredible. So I'm very glad that you made that prediction, and I'm glad to be here talking about it right now.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. I mean, this is the progression of what Mike Norvell's been talking about, and it hasn't been easy. At times, it hasn't been fun to watch, but we're beginning to turn a corner, and we have been turning this corner throughout this entire season because this win doesn't happen if you guys aren't progressing each week throughout the season and learning and becoming more of a team. So you could really see a culmination of all those things enter this game, and it paid off.
Yeah, we've had some amazing times this season, right? Some great victories, pulled it out at the end in a few games, and absolutely had some fun. And if you look at it on a graph, right, you have these big spikes, right? Just every up and down, up and down. And I believe that's starting to be more right skewed, right? It's all starting to kind of flow together and create that upward trajectory. So again, it's awesome to be a part of, especially because all these dreams and everything we've worked so hard for is beginning to come into fruition.
All right. I took to Twitter before we recorded and I said, hey, do you guys have anything you want to ask Dillan? And we do. We had some great questions submitted from some loyal listeners. I'll rip through them right now. All right.
Yes,
FSU
sir.
Frank, big FSU fan. Love FSU Frank. He wants to know, Dillan, where does your big heart come from?
It's from mom, my dad. And I'll also point back to my grandparents on both sides of my family, specifically my dad's side of the family. And definitely say that my dad's dad, Uncle Bob, he had a big heart, and he was always he's a big Irish Catholic guy like me. I believe he'd be very proud of me if he was still alive today. Passed away when my dad was a kid. But that's one of the people and one of the figures that I personally never got to meet. I've only heard stories of. It was so generous and a major part of the community that absolutely lived his life for his family and taught my dad a lot of good lessons and raised him right. I just it's someone I idolize, and when I'm sitting in bed at night and I'm praying, it's someone I hope is up there and is thinking about me and is proud of the man I become. So again, I'm just trying to honor my ancestors and my family.
That's a great answer. All right. The next one, we've talked about this, but do you want to clarify? Do you plan on coming back for another year? I know he has a year of eligibility.
Yes, sir. I'm going to be back. I'm going to play a lot more football. And again, like we just said, with that upward trajectory, I'm excited to lead the charge. I'm excited to become more of a vocal leader out there on the field and absolutely get after it. We have a big off season coming up. We have a lot of development that needs to happen within our own unit. Again, offensive lineman, like people wouldn't really think that it's an incredibly nuanced position, right? People would think it's pretty straightforward, block right, block left. But there are absolutely thousands of nuances and millions, basically, for each position, right? Each position is completely unique. And to be able to have some time to develop myself and get sharper mentally and physically and get back right after the season, and B, bring others along with me. And that's what my goal was in transferring here. It was to radically change the offensive line here at Florida State. And I believe that having this extra time that the COVID year has provided me is going to allow me to do that and do that to the best of my ability, and hopefully bring some others along with me and make an incredibly radically positive change in all of college football through Big Ben, Big Heart.
I see the change happening. All right. What kind of beard products do you use?
Beard products. Okay. You want a funny one?
Yeah.
Oh, so I was after the game, I was pretty hyped, right? Went back to the tailgate, saw my boy Griffin Allstott, Drew Luttrell, Brady Scott, his whole family, and the Donovans were there. And they had a bag waiting for me, right? And I had no clue what was in it. I was like, "Oh, you don't have to give me a gift." And it was basically just filled with beard products from Buffalo Trace Distillery, which I'm a pretty big bourbon and whiskey guy in my off days. But again, I thought it was absolutely hilarious. They went out of their way on their drive down here to stop by Buffalo Trace to get Tim a bottle of bourbon and to get me some beard products. Yeah, I use a beard balm, some beard oil. I don't use it every day. It's definitely half of this beard is grit. But at the same time,
dirt and sweat and puke and who knows what else.
Yeah, wearing a chin strap and a helmet does not help the whole beard thing. But I have a feeling my mom's going to try to persuade me to chop it off here as we get into the holiday season.
We'll see. All right. Tally food versus South Bend food. How's it stack?
Night and day. That's the first thing I commented on when I got here to campus. So it could be part of the reasons, probably because I was up there for 4 years. But South Bend, for lack of a better term, is a food desert. Not a lot of fresh food to be found. There are a lot of chain restaurants, Outbacks, Chili's, Taco Bell, McDonald's. Just a lot of those, Buffalo Wings. And you really get sick of that over time. There are some original places in South Bend, but usually they're pizza spots or Italian food places. But it was definitely eye-opening when I moved down here because when I was on the phone and throughout the recruiting process, right, just in the couple calls I had with FSU before I ended up actually coming down here, it's one of the questions I asked Coach Atkins. How's it for real? What's it about? So when I got down here, absolutely crazy. Just the amount of options. Some of the awesome things I've picked up on. One of the great companies I've found is Prep Pros Tally. They deliver 2 meals basically every day to my house, and I get those. They're pre-made meals, wonderfully fresh food, all different varieties, and you get to pick and choose it every week. And that's one of the best tools I've found, just so I don't have to worry about making my own food or ordering Uber Eats or DoorDash or something like that every night.
Wish I had that when I was in college. We didn't even have Uber Eats. We had to walk our ass to Whataburger to get our dinner.
Yeah, I think it's funny the reliance on Uber Eats and DoorDash and things of that nature nowadays. But there's actually some amazing restaurants up here, though. Savor, if you've been there before.
No, I haven't.
Those are some great people that own and operate that restaurant.
Where's that at?
It's right downtown. I believe it's a hotel they used to use for recruiting.
DoubleTree.
The DoubleTree. Yeah, around that area, right around the block, almost connected to the hotel. It's right on the same street.
I'll have to check it out. I'll be in town after the season for sure.
Yeah, so. get the I believe it's beef tips, I believe is what they're called. But yeah, it's absolutely delicious. Get the black and red fish, beef tips, and a peanut butter pie.
Oh, hell yeah. All right. Funniest trash talk you heard in the Miami game?
So I'm glad someone brought this up because I wanted to tell somebody.
Me too.
So when I'm out there, right? Like sure, we know generally like what people's numbers are. I don't know their name. Mm-hmm. I don't know where they're from. I don't know what high school they went to. I don't know any personal information about the guys I'm blocking. The way I approach everything, and this is probably instilled in me through the coaches I've had in the past, is just treat everyone like a nameless, faceless opponent. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. Like Notre Dame, I was playing against some of my best friends in the world. I treated them just like the freshman walk-on that I treat in practice. But at the same time, like I have no clue who these guys are that I'm blocking. I don't know their name. I barely know their number. I'm just blocking a 3 technique, a 2-eye, or a defensive end, right? Linebackers sometimes. But I thought it was really funny how many people knew my name on the field. Like Notre Dame, Dillan Gibbons. I just kept hearing my name from these guys' mouths, and I had no clue. So it got to a point where I just kind of addressed it. And like 3 or 4 people came up to me after that, just asking, like, what were you talking to that guy about? And I was like, I don't know why he knows my name. Why do you keep saying my name? But that was one of the funny moments in the game where I was just so confused of why they thought that knowing my name would get in my head or that I went to Notre Dame. But there were
that was like their weapon of choice was
the second most funny part about the game, and this might be slightly inappropriate. In one of the blocks, I'm trying to decleat people. I'm trying to go through the echo of the whistle. I'm trying to be as nasty as I possibly can, while staying within the guise of football and the play and what I'm allowed to do. So I'm constantly trying to finish guys and put them in the ground, no matter what. They could be standing around a pile, and I'm going to try to take them out. So that's how I play. I play pretty chippy. That's just how I was raised, and that's how I've always played football. So I get myself into some awkward situations sometimes, right? Guys trying to put their face up to mine, talking trash and stuff. So after one of these plays, after I put someone on the ground, I immediately felt someone crack back me, right? Just absolutely nail me from behind, like absolutely just spear me in the back and put me down on the ground. And as this person was rolling off my body, they rolled right into the back of the referee's legs. So I was on the ground trying to get up, and the ref saw what happened, but somehow misconstrued it in their head and looked at me dead in my face. And I'm not gonna curse on here, but basically cursed me out on the middle of the field in front of everybody. I was like, what do you mean? What did I do wrong? Like, I just got hit in the back, and that chain reaction caused you to get knocked over. But
and he's chippy and he's yelling at you.
It was
no flag, right? No flag.
No flag. And I was just upset. Another funny part, last little story I'll tell you is after the game, everyone was asking how my beard was, right? They're like, is everything still intact? Like, are you fine? Because I guess Timothy saw the replay of me getting a face mask penalty. Basically, someone had their hand up my face because they couldn't beat me with a bull rush. Timothy thought they ripped out like part of my beard, and everyone was really worried, I guess, that I was missing part of my beard, and they just kept commenting on how the guy had me by the beard. But I honestly didn't feel it at all. I didn't even think the face mask was on me. I was just blocking the guy and just trying to stay in good relative position from the quarterback. But that's another little funny story.
Yeah, I do remember that play. We got a couple here from YouTube, and then we'll end it. Were you surprised by Coach Dillingham's emotion in the press conference on Monday?
No, not at all. It's absolutely great.
Well, hold on. For those that don't know, Chris Nee at Knowles 24/7 asked him a question about how he felt about seeing the players celebrate and be proud of their performance. And Dillingham answered it for about 10, 15 seconds and then stopped. And Chris went to ask him another question because he didn't know what was happening. And Dillingham just sat there for about 30 seconds with his head down, not saying anything, trying really hard to gather himself from the emotion that he was feeling. So he just, he got that's what kind of overwhelmed him. So if people were wondering what I was asking about, that's it.
Yeah. So this was the biggest game and a lot of the players here at FSU in my life, right? Biggest victory I've ever been a part of. So that's an incredibly special moment. But what makes that moment more special is that everyone chose to kind of celebrate together, right? Whether that was the whole offense coming back on the field to take a picture for the scoreboard, the one I put up on Twitter, or us all just coming together in the locker room and leaning on each other. We've gone through some tough times this season, and Coach Dillingham's been there for every one of those moments. He's lived and breathed everything that is FSU football. And you can imagine the disappointment that you'd have in yourself and the whole unit that we weren't able to have more of these feelings, right? To go through more of these wonderful experiences of winning these big games, and all pent up anger and disappointment. I'm sure it got to him, and you should have seen him after the game. He was very excited, like visibly glowing and jumping around, hugging people, and absolutely getting after it. But again, it was an emotional moment for everybody, and I'm sure I would have been triggered in the same way when the whole thing kind of came back into perspective.
Yeah, it was really cool. All right. How important is health to making progress in the off season? How much better is training than rehabbing?
That's tough. You have to train, you have to rehab, right? And sometimes you have to do both at the same time, right? So some guys are working through injuries right now, and that they're training. They're getting after in the weight room, getting after on the football field, and also participating in some of the treatment that they have to offer with our medical staff. So I think that it is a combination of all those things. Again, you can't do enough prehab, right? A lot of people don't know what that is. It's you have rehab, right? So when you get injured, say you twist up your ankle or bang up your knee, you go and you get rehab, right? It's basically mandatory. You go and get it done. But a lot of the stuff that I've been taking part of in the past couple of years is more or less prehab, right? It's rehabilitation. It's things that you're anticipating to happen, right? So as an offensive lineman, of course, think about the knees, the ankles, the wrist, the neck, the back, all things that could potentially go or could potentially have issues. So I'm constantly strengthening my core, working my lateral movement and my lateral flexibility, and again keeping my feet moving. And it's a complicated process, but it's one of those things you really don't have to worry about when you're associated with a big Division I program like Florida State. There's a lot of things are tailored to each player, and you have a lot of people in your corner looking out for your best interest.
All right, that's it so there's a bunch of recruiting questions people submitted, but I'm not going to bring up recruiting because I don't want to dabble in any violations. I don't know if I don't think we're allowed to speak of guys by name with each other, kind of similar to coaches. So let's avoid the recruiting questions. We're going to try not to make this like a controversial podcast. But before we go, we want to give a couple shout outs. You guys can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It's a great way to get notified when these things drop. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Gibbons Dillan and at Josh Newberg 247. Dillan, you got any shout outs before we get out of here?
Yeah. So I got to take a step back for a second. So over the past 4 to 5 months, since the creation of Big Man, Big Heart, I've raised over $120,000, which is an absolutely monumental thing I never thought I could do, right? And the only reason I could do it is because of the help and support of all the wonderful people viewing this today and the people that have contributed to the GoFundMes and the initiatives I've created. I'm very excited to get Big Man, Big Heart moving in the state of Florida, get some more and more collegiate ambassadors signed up. We have a few collegiate ambassadors from University of Florida that will definitely be mentioned here in the next couple weeks that have signed up, and I'm very excited to work with them and figure out their initiative. Again, Brad Sussley, great young man, starting center for USF. He is an incredible individual, already made a wonderful and great impact on his environment down there in Tampa and St. Pete. But I'm excited to work with him and get something rolling back in my hometown. But the reason I bring all this up is because none of this would be possible without my mom, Lynn Gibbons. Again, I've mentioned her before on the podcast, but I can't give her enough thanks for everything she does for me and for my family. My mom's an extremely hardworking woman, one of the most revered women I have in my life. I couldn't do what she does. I couldn't have done what she has done to provide and support my family. But she owns and operates a law firm, Jorgensen Gibbons, in St. Petersburg, Florida. They specialize in workers' compensation, personal injury, and disability. It's an absolutely wonderful family practice. It's an actual family practice. So you're hearing that from me, Dillan Gibbons. My mom is Lynn Gibbons. My sister, Katie Gibbons, is an attorney there. And again, my twin sister, Delaney, works there. So it's an incredible practice, and they do some awesome work. I've said this once, but I actually mean it. I was there once when I was a little kid. And when I was a little kid, my mom gave me my first job. I was stuffing letters in her office, just letterhead that we were sending out to different individuals across the state of Florida. And a woman walked in, and she was absolutely sobbing. And she was holding a check in her hand. And that check was the money that my mom ended up winning her throughout the whole process. And she called my mom her angel. And that's when I realized my mom does some real special stuff. And I can't thank my mom enough for supporting me and Big Man, Big Heart. Can't thank Jorgensen Gibbons enough for tuning into the podcast every week. Grady, Spencer, the whole Jorgensen family also tunes in. But again, it's an absolutely incredible law firm. And if you need any help, feel free to contact me or Jorgensen Gibbons for your legal matters. So thank you so much, Mom. And I love you.
Thank you. And thank you guys all for listening. Dillan, good luck on the road at Boston College this weekend. We will be back next week with another episode.
Yes, sir. Let's bring home a win.